Hey guys, Mustached here to review the movie Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. Now, of course, with a title like that, I didn't see any trailers for this movie. I only saw a tiny slither of reviewers actually tackling this movie. You always start to wonder why. Oh, why would a movie like this not get good promotion? Maybe because it is about queer people. You know, it dawned on me. A certain number of people also didn't review Heated Rivalries. And I went, why is that? Is it because it explicitly has gay characters? Oh, you bet. I bet that's the reason. Well, here we are, with a meta movie on the horror genre. So, this movie, as it were, starts off with a director, a queer director specifically, being the one tasked to reboot a franchise named, promptly, Camp Miasma. It is clear that Camp Miasma had the original version within the context of this movie, had some troubling transphobic notions, as it were. So, they wanted this queer individual, to write, or rather direct, so that the queers, they're the ones doing it, right? There's no more problem. Let's make money. That's how the system works. When you do the big bud, and it's too bad to avoid forever, you just get a person in that group and say, you know what? And to make this even more fascinating of a movie, is that the writer of this movie knows of the term, the new version of the term, I should say, of woke. So that opened up my eyes. That tells me that certain writers in Hollywood or in the deep underground or wherever they're coming from, they are paying attention to certain YouTubers who use that term. I point to Once Upon a Time, Critical Drinker, most of EFAP, if not all of them. That guilt is it. They know because they watch and they see and they learn. So the director knows all of this, so she's going through it, and she hires on, or is attempting to hire on, the main actress from the original movie. It's been an immense franchise, you see. And so the two began hanging out as she's trying to prong these ideas about wanting her to be the lead for the remake, pointing to, obviously, the Michael Myers franchise and other franchises of this nature in the horror genre. Again, doing the meta on the meta. But we do see the original Camp Miasma, and indeed the transphobia that they were referring to, that once upon a time, a guy dressed like a girl in the traditional sense, I'm using traditional gender norms in that regard. And in doing so, the people at the camp proceeded to kill that individual, akin to one Jason, who was, might be a regards to a certain type of eugenics that, because Jason wasn't your spry, handsome looking lad. He was what they would refer to as the ugly child, you see. So they're also building off of that as well in the meta-meta. And we actually do see a good portion of this original movie. From the killer re-arising and going on a killing spree. After she says the actress stops the film, the director says she wants to experience these temptations that have been drawn from the deep divers of horror, those who do the translation of what horror represents, those types. So again, the meta is meta. Trio huggin'. She says to experience it is to witness oneself as both the killer and the one as the victim, becoming that level of powerless and powerful, this mix, push and pull, as it were. And after the director experiencing that, she comes out shirtless in order to pursue this experience herself, to see herself as the killer and the victim. And so, a slew of all the people, from the people who are trying to make this movie, the investors call in the director. And she explains the sort of movie is that the movie, or the horror icon, is the one watching us, or them in this instance. And he or she, again, the original killer, right? So, in between, right? So they are trying to kill to make the movie, and does so successfully, including killing, and I'm putting that in quotes, both the actress and the director themselves. At some point later, when the movie is done, they both awaken, experiencing both that and climax at the same time, akin to horror being very integrated into the world of sex, like this coded language that those deep horror fans are always talking about when making a movie, especially in the slasher horror genre. And so they go about their day, all bloodied up, but no one seems to pay too much mind. Everyone seems to be like, hey, how's it going? Bye. Because they end up in a convenience store. And they make on their merry way when the director says that the killer is becoming hungry again. One more movie, another. To never stop the franchise. Gotta keep going. And that closes out the meta on teenage sex and death at Camp Miasma. So yeah, this one was quite a fascinating twist with all the double and triple metas in context of this film. What makes this one so fascinating to me is that they play it seriously. This isn't a comedy horror, and and jumping on that angle of it, which has been the very traditional way to sort of not only mock horror but meta mock horror. And with this serious vibe, I went, it can be done. That's fascinating. And it really explores all of the lines and all of the deeper meanings and all of the sort of this underpinned tragic escalation of horror. I mean, once upon a time, if you go back long enough, it used to be the trope, again, the bury your gays trope, and I feel like the writer of this particular movie is ultimately aware of that in making the main characters queer, because they technically die, which is, again, I think, really actually poking at the idea of bury your gays, in a sense, actually, directly. And I think this trope has been sort of... I think this movie is pointing in a direction. It's saying that needle, as it were, is actually starting to move toward trans people. And that makes sense. They are the new outcast. They are the new ones that are abandoned. The ones that people can point to and say, they're the devils, they're the Satanists, they're the this, the that. And once upon a time, that was gay people, do not forget. That is the history. The Satanic Panic is a thing that happened in real life. And I think that this movie is pointing at that and saying that the needle is moving. And I think that's very much true from what I've seen in horror movies. I mean, there's literally a movie that I don't remember when it came out, but it's fairly recent, called They, Them, that is about a killer that is they, them. I think this movie here is actually pointing at that movie and saying the needle is changing. Because it is. And I think that's fascinating meta commentary. And I think that's one reason why this didn't get any sway in the media, is because, I didn't, again, not seeing any trailers, I'm suspecting that the people up there, the tippy tops, were very keen on trying to not make this movie a big deal. And I can sort of see that continuation in the people who aren't reviewing this movie. Just like what I talked about at the beginning of the review. Heated rivalries is what I'm referring to. It's fascinating to see who isn't reviewing certain movies, certain series, when these topics become the topic. When it is about homosexuality, when it is about trans people, when it is woke. Who is it that don't show up? Isn't that fascinating? You don't get coverage from people like Critical Drinker. Isn't that fascinating how that works? Isn't that just fascinating? It just makes so much sense. And I can assure you that there are people reviewing this movie, but they're the ones reviewing everything. Some of them, unfortunate, are doing their own shilling nonsense. I'm referring to Chris Stuckman, if you don't know. And I think that that side is also dog shit. So we have one piece of dog shit, which is EFAP, which is never going to cover something like this and do it honestly. They would never dare. I don't think they would. And then you have the other side, the shill, Chris Stuckman, who will just do about anything for money, including gambling ads. And oh boy. So yeah, I mean, shit, you can have dog shit people like Alex Myers, and he could be a misogynist, and he can come back on YouTube, no problem. As if it never even happened. We can have plagiarists come back on YouTube as if nothing ever happened. Because accountability, it doesn't mean much on YouTube. But, you know, I think there needs to be a movie about it. About the meta of YouTube. I mean, I can't direct it. I'm too small. Smaller than this movie is ever going to attempt to be. But as this movie stands, I think this is fantastic commentary. This is like, just, it came out at the right time, you know? So this is easily one of your 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10s for me. I'd probably argue this is my favorite movie to come out this year, better than Brand New Day, which is a fantastic movie. Don't get it twisted. So yes, that is my review of Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. And if you ended up enjoying this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description when I do my petition to help out small YouTubers. Second to my PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And third to my Discord server, you can join Collab Shield, do all that cool stuff for free. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.